Hello, Phil here, and happy holidays, everyone. Welcome to DSPReacts, and welcome to what I'm hoping will be the first in a series of holiday-themed movie reviews and or content reviews that I'm going to do for you on this channel. I'm going to start off with a bang in 2023. Let's talk about one of my absolute favorite Christmas movies of all time, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation from 1989. Now, the Christmas Vacation movie itself is perfectly great as a standalone holiday film. If you like laughs, and if you like both family-oriented fun that kids can enjoy, but also adults can get completely different kind of references out of, that's exactly the kind of movie that this is. Although originally it was rated PG at the time, back then they didn't really have like PG-13 ratings. It absolutely would have had a PG-13 rating at the time it came out because of some of the adult themes. You know, there's drinking, there's some sexual content, that kind of stuff in the movie. And although it's very minor and not a major theme, I definitely understand why today they say, oh, it's like TV-14 rather than saying PG like they did back when this movie originally came out. Also, although this movie is great as a standalone film celebrating American Christmas, it also is in a series of films just called the National Lampoon's Vacation series, starting with a regular vacation movie, then leading into a European vacation, this Christmas movie, and I believe the last one in the continuous string of movies was the Vegas Vacation. They all star Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo as a husband and wife and their family going around America having these different vacations, with the exception of Europe, which is a cool one. In the European one, they go through all these different European countries. However, kind of the running joke of these films is that the kids always change actors, although the husband and wife don't. So it's always Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo, but then it's different kids every time around. And, you know, hit or miss. Sometimes I think the kids are better or worse, depending on the film. But always funny, always over-the-top comedy, and Christmas Vacation, out of all these films, is actually my favorite in the series. Now, why? Because very simply, this movie is a time capsule of the late 80s and early 90s. When you watch Christmas Vacation, if you were alive back then, you're going to see things that were synonymous of the time. Credit cards being run through machines at the store that doesn't exist anymore. Kids that actually run around playing rather than sitting on their mobile devices all day like this. It's a very different time period, and it's pretty cool to see that kind of encapsulated and preserved in a movie like this. I would say similar to if you ever saw the movie A Christmas Story, and that's basically old school Americana. This was everything modern in the late 80s and early 90s, and is very synonymous with that time. So what is the movie about? Well, quite in a nutshell here, quite simply, the Griswold family is about to celebrate Christmas. Clark, who's the father and husband and the head of the family, is trying to plan a good family Christmas where all of the relatives are going to come by and celebrate together. But at the very same time, the running plot of the movie is that he's expecting to receive a Christmas bonus from his corporate job that's going to be enough to hopefully pay for the installation of a swimming pool in his backyard. Now, the real running theme here is family. While a lot of his co-workers at his corporate job only care about themselves, he actually wants to spend all this money on his family. And it's not just for him, it's for everyone's enjoyment, which is actually really nice. Although it's funny because another running theme is that he actually is kind of a self-centered, egotistical guy. He thinks that he has great ideas as his job. He wants to use his inventions without testing them. It's kind of funny because he's Mr. Family Man for everyone, but at the same time, he actually is kind of full of himself as well, especially when it comes to holiday decorating, which we'll get to in a moment. So anyway, the movie's very funny. Yes, it even has swear words in it. Even though it was rated PG at the time, there's a hard F-bomb at the end of the movie, because that used to be allowed in movies like this back then. I don't really know if it is anymore. And there's a lot of adult-themed content. In a brief summary, because I don't want to give away the entirety of the movie, all right? Basically, Clark's plans for a perfect family Christmas go completely wrong. As to be expected, if you've seen any of the other vacation movies, it's always a series of calamitous errors and problems that happen. Everything always falls apart and never really goes according to plan. Give you some examples. Relatives show up, and the house is already crammed, and then all of a sudden, his cousin Eddie, who's also an ongoing actor played by Dennis Quaid, Randy Quaid. Randy Quaid in these movies. He shows up unexpectedly with his family, and now there's no room, so now they got to figure out how to adjust for that. But Eddie's family is kind of a weird family. They got a dog whose snots go all over the place, and it just causes all kinds of problems. The running theme of the movie, again, is that he needs to get this money for this pool, and then at the end of the movie, there's a big twist in that regard that kind of screws everything up, and everyone's freaking out. The food screws up. The lights don't work that he puts up on the house. Everything basically goes wrong that can go wrong during this family Christmas. The reason I really like this movie is not only is it a comedic twist on family get-togethers in the United States, but it reminds me a lot about my childhood and when I used to get together with my family around Christmas time. Like, I used to go to my great aunt and uncle's house, and it was my family and then all of my mom's cousins and everything and their families and you know, grandparents on both sides of the family all getting together and having a Christmas Eve together. And a lot of the silly things that are represented in this movie, like, for example, certain family members have eccentricities and they act a certain silly way. Well, my family used to be the same. I had an uncle who always walked around wearing snakeskin boots indoors. I still don't know why to this day. But that's what I mean. Like, that kind of stuff is represented in the movie. There's multiple times you can point and say, I remember something like that happening with my family, quirky stuff going on around Christmas. Of course, it's usually exaggerated times 10, and that's the fun of it. Chevy Chase is great. Chevy Chase is a great actor. Everyone says, I guess reportedly working with him, he's an asshole. Listen, the work, I think, kind of exceeds any level of suffering to work with the guy, because this movie and the other movies he's been in, I mean, are great, and this is probably one of his best, in my opinion. At one point, he could be super serious, and all of a sudden, ultra exaggerated, like a cartoon character when needed. You know, you get into it. You feel like he really is the family man. He's the guy who's just a normal American dad who wants to do the best for his family, and no matter how hard he works or tries, sometimes he's just too dumb to make things work, and other times, it's just bad luck. I think this all culminates with his house decorations. You know, for a good portion of the film, he's putting lights up on the house, as represented, as you can see, by the actual title artwork of the movie. You know, he puts up, I think it's like 5,000 imported twinkle lights. And no matter what, after putting them up, he can't get them to turn on. And it's a running joke, and then finally, at one point when they turn on, it's like, oh, but then they go back out. It's like, oh, it's funny. You know, he's going on and off. What's going on? He's freaking out. And his reactions are absolutely hilarious. Beverly D'Angelo does a great job once again as the mother who is trying to support him and is trying to figure out what's going wrong with the family and keep everything together, you know, trying to be the person to be the glue of the family while everyone is coming apart during Christmas. Also, some really cool stuff. For example, you know, when I was growing up, my parents had a actual film camera that was owned by their parents that they used to film when they were kids, and every once in a while during the holidays they'd bring it out and they'd play it for us. And Clark Griswold at one point in this movie is stuck in his own attic watching family movies that are exactly the same type of camera that my parents used to have. The house is kind of similar to the house I grew up in. The attic is unfinished, so it's dangerous to walk around in. I remember when I was a kid, my dad, if we went to the attic, would always freak out. Got to be super careful. Don't step through and break the boards or break the ceiling. Just so many things that resonate with me and my experience growing up in the 80s and 90s. So if you did, like me, this movie probably brings you those same vibes. Now, here's the thing. Even if you didn't grow up in the 80s and 90s, you'll probably still enjoy the movie because it is that kind of a time capsule. Perfect example here, one of my other favorite Christmas movies is A Christmas Story. Now, that movie is supposed to be representative of a time way earlier before I was born, but I still love it. I like being taken out of my time growing up and brought into the past and seeing how things were different back then. And that's what this movie can do for you if you were born later. I give it a strong recommend whether or not you were actually trying to reminisce or not. I think you're still going to have a lot of laughs and a lot of fun. The cast is excellent. You know, actually, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who at the time, this was pre-Seinfeld, actually does a really great comedic turn as this kind of like stuck-up yuppie. She's part of a couple who live next door to Clark and his family, and they hate them. They just find them so annoying. Everything they do is annoying, and there's all these different interactions they have with the family that are all hilarious. So, great stuff. Like a really great movie. There's some slapstick. There's some seriousness. Like I said, there's some adult stuff, but there's mostly stuff that's very family-friendly and for kids. It's really a heartwarming movie by the end. although it's completely unrealistic and unbelievable, do not go into this movie saying, oh, it's going to be like a realistic family outing. Absolutely not. There's flying animals, things get electrocuted, things explode, people get kidnapped. Yes, I'm not kidding you. People actually get kidnapped in this movie. It's got a little bit of everything for everyone. But at the end of the day, I make it a yearly, annual kind of pastime to make this one of the movies that I watch, because I remember going to the movie theater with my dad and seeing it when I was a kid, and it makes me think of those days of the past when I was a kid celebrating, Christmas with my family. But at the very same time, it's just darned funny. It's truly an epic masterpiece of the right cast, the right direction, the right story, timing, effort, everything. It really is a time capsule of that time, and it's just funny to watch it every single year. So National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, absolutely one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. If you've never seen it before, I hope you'll give it a look now. And if you've seen it a million times just like me, I hope you enjoy watching it again this year. Thanks for watching my first review of Christmas content. Hopefully there'll be many more coming in the next several weeks, although fingers crossed no monkey wrenches get thrown in. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on DSP Reacts. Happy holidays, everybody.